Greetings all, Ferrari Man 601 here with another installment of a whirlwind series of rush production reviews. Today, or again I should say, because they've all been done today, the Ferrari F138 here at Mugello. The F138, the other centerpiece of the Assetto Corsa Red Pack, released yesterday, still yesterday my time here in the eastern United States. But another modern Formula One car, officially released by Kunos. Here it is in all of its resplendence. F138, driven by Felipe Massa and Fernando Alonso in the 2013 Formula One season. It is the last Ferrari Formula One car to date to feature the 2.4-liter V8 engine. That formula was phased out by the end of the year to be replaced by the current 1.6-liter V6 turbos. The F138, an evolution of the design that was really started in 2011 with the F150, the F150, and then carried forward in the F2012, and now the F138 for the last car in the series. As with the other cars in the Red Pack, wonderful modeling and textures by Kunos. A lot of work went into this, as is plainly seen. Not quite as intricate in some details as the F15T, however, being 2 years older than that car, evolution does take its course in Formula One, and things change accordingly. Also, because this is the V8, you have the double exhaust, one out each side pod, channeling those exhaust gases toward the diffuser. So a very different philosophy, particularly on the rear, when it came to designing these cars. But some details still do carry over. You have some of those corrugations in the floor ahead of the rear tires, just to control the tire squirt, and some of those upturned angles on the edge of the floor there. What in Formula One parlance is known as the reference plane. You see some of that going on as well. Same small barge boards for the most part, turning vanes or flow modifiers, whatever you want to call them. They still very much exist. And then, of course, very intricate front wing as well. Again, not quite as spiffed up as you see on the 15T, but still nothing to sneeze at. That gave the modelers quite the headache, I am sure. Great reflections, great texturing all the way around. You can see all the quick release fasteners holding on the different body panels, and the driver and cockpit detail, of course. Everything very nicely rendered. So in the cockpit, we're not quite as complicated in this car as we are in the 15T, because we don't have that MGU-H and MGU-K to deal with. We have what is now, I guess, considered the more traditional KERS system. Harvest energy under braking only from the rear axle, and then the driver is at his discretion to deploy it whenever he wants, up to 6.6 seconds per lap. He doesn't have to deploy it all at once. He can do it any place he likes, but only for a maximum of 6.6 seconds per lap. It adds another 60 horsepower on top of what the engine's already putting out. The engine's putting out about 750 or so, so then this brings us up past 800. Cockpit detailing, very nice. Buttons and switches there on the right side of the dash. And on the left, brake bias adjuster and the fire extinguisher, as far as I can tell. On the steering wheel display, you have your speed in the upper left quadrant, gear position in the center, and then your fuel load in the right-hand window there. Shift lights across the top, of course, and then the other lights that we'll be dealing with, DRS. That's not the DRS button. This is the DRS button. Next to the neutral button there on the upper left, the red light just went on. Now it's off, now it's on again. That's your DRS status light, and then your KERS status light will come on as we're driving, and of course as we deploy KERS throughout the course of the run. So we'll get the engine started and go out on track. Ah yes, the V8 sound, it's back. 7-speed box. Unlike the review of the 15T, we will be getting through all the gears on this track. Conservative here, so we can get some heat back in the tires. All this will be flat out once we're really up to speed. Curves upper right next to the P button there on the steering wheel. Green light goes on. That is our curves deploy light. And the DRS light. Now the DRS is open. Alright, so we've got a lap under our belts now, up to speed. One of the first things that you'll notice if you spent any time either in the 15T in this sim or in, say, the McLaren MP430 over on iRacing, you'll notice that the driving characteristics of this car much more consistent corner to corner and lap to lap, simply because you don't have the energy recovery systems working to the same degree that you do in the MP430 or the 15T. Your curves harvest off the rear axle, of course, but it does it very linearly in a very uniform fashion, so you're not really thinking about those dynamics as you're going along. The only time you're really thinking about the curves is when you want to press the button. Give yourself a little bit of a boost. General driving dynamics, much more in line with what you'd expect from a thoroughbred racing car. of the traditional sense. Turn-in is great. Stability in high-speed corners is phenomenal. I don't know if there's another car on Assetto Corsa that has this kind of stability. I mean, you can just throw the car into a high-speed corner and the thing just sticks. So you can probably tell visibility is really great. Can really bring the front tires down onto the apex exactly where and when you want to. And as you can tell there, little lockups don't really matter all that much in this thing. Those green lights that come up on the left-hand side of the shift lights on top of the steering wheel, those are our KERS lights. They tell you how much of your KERS you have used, not how much of it you have remaining. So a little bit of reverse psychology going on there. So as I get on the KERS over the course of the lap, you'll see those lights start to scroll upward toward the center. Now I am running quite a bit of wing on the car just for stability for the purposes of this review, because I don't want to do anything that's going to embarrass me on a potentially global stage, but even when you do ramp the wing off of the car, you still have tremendous grip in pretty much all conditions. Of course, that semi-blown diffuser with the Coanda exhaust ramps coming out of the side pods, that does contribute to more downforce than you might initially expect, even from relatively low speeds. But it's just very, very positive on the front, which is something that I am all over. I love a car that's a little bit pointy, and this one is definitely pointy indeed. See, it's not particularly frugal when it comes to fuel. We started with 50 liters, and we've done a handful of laps. We've burned through half of our fuel. Unlike the later evolution of KERS, the MGU-K and MGU-H, this system is not looking for efficiency as much as it is looking for power. That being said, more traditional methods of fuel management, such as how hard you hit the gas, start to come to the fore. Traction is really good. Like I said, that turn-in is just razor sharp. Look at that. Yes, there's a little bit of camber through this corner to help me, but still, quite a lot of that grip is coming from the car itself. You can brake super deep into most corners and the car will still be there for you. Also, you can get on throttle quite early, at least when the tires are reasonably fresh, and not worry about lighting the rears up too badly. It's just a very rewarding car to drive. It's quite stable under most running conditions, so it's accessible to most people who are reasonably experienced, I would say. Yet, like anything else, you have a very good starting point, but in order to extract the maximum out of it, it does egg you on to push it just a little bit farther through every corner, and eventually you come up to the limit. For that reason, I think this car is going to be very, very popular in multiplayer, simply because it is just so accessible. I mean, right out of the box, I've done no setup work on it yet, and I already feel like I'm reasonably quick, all things considered. So look for this to be featured in many, many, many multiplayer lobbies and things. Tires starting to go off a little bit, getting some mid-corner understeer, but to be expected, and nothing that you can't cope with by exercising just a touch of common sense. As they say in Italian, bello. Molto bello. You guys can't see me, but I'm getting into this. I'm actually leaning my head in and out of the corners as I'm driving this. This gives you a very, very decent sense of immersion. The visuals and the sounds, they just come together on this thing. I know the 15T is supposed to be the real centerpiece to the Red Pack, but you know what? I have a feeling that this thing might steal the show in the long run. It's just so nice. So very, very, very nice. And you know, when I do these reviews, I'm not content to just poodle around and tell you what I think about the car. I want to really start to leg it and just show you for yourselves what it can do. And I'm not at 100%, but I'm well into the 90s in terms of what I feel like I can do on this particular day. So I hope this is a fair representation. Trust me, it is a lot of fun. Harsh on a downshift there, but that's okay because we are about to dive into the pits, just using up the rest of the curves. And there we go. And not a moment too soon, there's the fuel wipe. Glorious. You know, it's not too often that we get a mod, or in this case an official release that puts a smile this big on my face, but this certainly is one of them. I remember the wonderful F2002 that was released some time ago by a third-party developer, and that car is just brilliant in every regard. This one, it is of similar quality. Of course, it's a little bit better all around because it's got the whole corporate energy of Kunos behind it, and the F2002 is a privateer, and a very admirable effort by a privateer. But this is of the caliber, and you know what might be a cool idea is to put this up against the F2002, and I don't know, maybe the F300 by Virtua. Why the hell not throw the MP413 into the mix, the 15T, and see how these cars get along with each other on track. That might be something we have to do a little bit later on this evening. But in any event, that's the 138. I hope you all have a lot of fun with it, because I certainly will, and thank you very much for watching yet another review today, rushing it into production as soon as possible. Thank you all.